and submissive. A good, well, not a good ruler, right? I don't want to, this is not Machiavelli, but a ruler will, according to Nietzsche, the instinct of the ruler is to patronize and applaud virtues within the masses that make them docile, right? Because I want to maintain my power. So what I'm going to do is, well, if you want to slack, I get this question all the time. I don't feel like, I didn't want to write the midterm paper, I didn't want to do my final, or it was so hard, I couldn't do the page count, or I can't find the references, and what do you think I should do, da-da-da. And, and the answer could be, well, you don't, it's your education. You don't have to write the paper, you don't have to do the research. You don't have to do anything. This is your life, right? Obviously, the reason why that's being done, if that's being done, hypothetically speaking, is that, well, it doesn't really matter to me if you excel or not, right? I've excelled. So if you don't want to excel, well, don't excel. Because insofar as you don't excel, you're not going to be able to challenge my power. So don't excel. I don't want you to excel, right? Obviously, this is false. I do want you to excel. This is why I'm spending so much time doing this, because I think we have an overwhelming lack of excellence. And despite the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that have watched these videos, I recognize that a lot of it is probably going to be curiosity, people watching me for curiosity. I recognize that. And that a very small numbers of the community are actually going to participate in the act of excellence, the act of actually excelling. Why? Because it requires a lot of work, right? So it's, I'm humbled when I get one video contribution, much less 3. I started this process thinking that I'd probably get about, in its totality, 3. And I've already gotten 3, so I'm surprised with that. But you have to be realistic, right? The population is not going to take the time, and you can't. Me personally, I'm not going to condemn them for this, but they're not going to take the time to do the reading, to put together the notes, to shoot the video, to edit the video, to upload the video. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Okay, so the rulers, according to Nietzsche, they patronize and applaud the virtues that basically make their subjects docile, right? That makes their subjects useful and submissive. And what he says, again, in 2:16, 2:16 is a powerful note. What he says in 2:16 is, Christianity is a herd, and I actually want to read this in context. Christianity is a herd religion, that it teaches obedience. In short, that Christians are easier to rule than non-Christians. That's blasphemous, right? That's hardcore, right? That's hardcore. To be like, yeah, rulers want people to be Christians. Why do rulers want people to be Christians? Why do rulers espouse Christian values? Rulers want you to be a Christian because you're going to be easier to control. You're going to be easier to rule. You're already docile. You've already absorbed and bought into an ideological system of service and work. And we recognize that there is no service, because service to God for Nietzsche is sort of akin to not doing anything. And the work that you do is a work of inactivity, so it's by definition not work. So basically, when I tell you to do stuff, you'll do it, right? Because you're conditioned to serve. But now, instead of serving God, you'll serve the ruler, and I actually have real stuff for you to do. So, I mean, this is Nietzsche. This is not me, right? Nietzsche said, Christianity is a herd religion, that it teaches obedience, in short, that Christians are easier to rule than non-Christians. That's a clear political implication, right? So Nietzsche, unlike himself, steps out of sort of this moralistic discourse and hops into the political arena and sort of gives a nod and a wink to the rulers and be like, hey, man, get your population to be Christians, because, if they're Christians, you'll be able to rule them. You'll be able to control them. Not like other religions. These people are easy to rule, right? So let me just read that in context. He says, the whole section is the second to last paragraph in note 2:16. Submission of the master race to Christianity is essentially the consequence of the insight that Christianity is a herd religion, that it teaches obedience. In short, that Christians are easier to rule than non-Christians. With this hint, the Pope recommends Christian propaganda to the Emperor of China even today, right? So that's just the most audacious paragraph. It's just like hardcore, at least for me. Maybe I'm the only one that sees the implications of that. But, the church is in bed with the political hegemony. Why wouldn't they be? Political hegemony wants to maintain control of the population, and the Pope, which he says, as the instantiation of the highest sort of authority of religious power on earth for a segment of the Christian church, you know, it's no surprise. It's no surprise that they're in bed together, according to Nietzsche, right? Because where the institution, the ideological institution of subjugation and submission is conducive to sort of proselytization, so too is that same ideological system of belief good for the docility of a population, to be technical. Sorry if that was a bit technical, but you get the idea, right? So in conclusion then, in conclusion, Christianity is conducive to the instincts of a ruler insofar as religion encourages subservience, right? Christianity is conducive, I'm not going to write that down, that's sort of obvious. Christianity is conducive to the instincts of a ruler. Remember, the instincts of the community, sort of let's all stay together so that we all can survive. No one should really excel above the norm. Okay, the instincts of the ruler is to say, well, yeah, no one should excel above the norm, right? You should be sort of, you know, docile. And the religious beliefs that you have supplement my desire for power, because you're not going to challenge my power, because the only person that could ever challenge my power is a person of excellence, right? And the people who do sort of pull themselves out of this mediocre existence and become excellent are immediately absorbed by power. And this is the process since the beginning of time. Okay. Oh, this is the worst lecture series ever. The notion of subservience and submission is reinforced by religious iconography, right? And I'm actually going to read this in context. He says, Christ on the cross is the most sublime symbol even today. Right? The idea of Christ on the cross is the most sublime symbol even today. This is note 218. Yeah. Wait, where is the fundamental scholars? Wait, is it 218? No, it's 219. Sorry, I got that note wrong. It's 219. Yeah, it's 219, my bad. So I'll read 219. I have to make sure I change that. This is note 219. Irony against those who believe Christianity has been overcome by the modern natural sciences. Christian value judgments have not by any means been overcome this way at all. Christ on the cross is the most sublime symbol even today. And the point is, the image, the icon of Christ on the cross, nailed, thorn on his head, hole in his side from his spearing, dying, bleeding, suffering, not for himself, but for all of us, in service to us, right? He died so that we can have immortal afterlife. That image is in and of itself the hallmark of this culture, if you will, of service and suffering and subjugation. And as long as there is that image in and of itself, it's powerful to reinforce and crystallize the idea of service, which we know Nietzsche doesn't acknowledge as real service, as work, as not real work, in service to something other than ourselves, to God, right? Or in service to our fellow infirmed, discontent, sick, oppressed, mediocre sort of herd mentality. So that's how Nietzsche articulates it. Yeah. So it's pretty incendiary stuff in this last bit. But that's how Nietzsche is. He's unapologetic. So with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. Have a good day.